It's about, folks from shoe companies and all the people in their orbit setting up a system that is pimping kids out. You cannot be a coach or an AD and not know that this is a pimp game. That's what it is.
That's our own Ricky Jones. He made headlines again as the ESPN show E60 talked to him and other figures surrounding U of L and its recent troubles. Now, the Outside the Lines piece that detailed Louisville's basketball downfall showed how detrimental it's been for the city's finances. Alston Athletics Director Tom Jurich was also a focus of the report, and it delved into the school's sponsorship agreement with Adidas and the events that led to Jurich's firing. Take a listen.
Can you see why people would see it as potentially problematic, these kinds of partnerships, with the idea that Adidas would be invested in the success of certain programs, especially their most elite programs?
I really don't see the parallel of it. I know that you would look at it and think, well, this company's involved and you do have a problem, so those two do go together. There was nothing we ever saw in our 20-year relationship that would ever lead us to believe that there would be some impropriety going on. I don't think this deal went bad. I think they had an employee that went bad.
It's the same view Jurich maintained about Strippergate.
The idea became this was just a single rogue coach, basically. Is that right?
That's as good an answer as I can come up with.
Now, ESPN talked to Kentucky politicians who also were shocked at the terms of the deal to finance the KFC Yum Center and how it could cost taxpayers upwards of $1 billion. Now, Ricky, you were a big part of this report. There's a lot of parts to it. I want to get to the pimp comment in a minute, but just in terms of the U of L comment, do you see this as kind of like the final chapter of this story now that it's kind of all been put together with a bow?
I don't think so, because I don't think U of L is really the story. I really don't. So the great thing about sports shows is they stay focused on sports. The terrible thing about sports shows is they stay focused on sports. I think U of L became a center of this because U of L overreacted. You would think that U of L is the only school caught up in this situation. It is not. It was just the only school to fire its coach, and AD so quickly.
You don't think that the AD and coach should have been fired?
That's not my argument. My point is this, and this is what I think that story was terrible. They did a terrible job of doing this and contextualizing my comments. Even if everything that's alleged about U of L is true, it doesn't change the entire system of college athletics, which I was saying was a pimp game.
I don't disagree with you on that. I actually would argue that I don't think ESPN and these places care so much about U of L. I mean, right. U of L is a small – I think they're doing this story as a symbol of college athletics as a whole. Right. I actually think that they don't disagree with you on that. I mean, I don't think they think the problem was just Tom Jurich and Rick Pitino. It's college athletics as a whole.
Yeah, but they didn't do a good job of that in this particular story is my point. Okay. I'm saying that – look, you can shut down U of L athletics wholesale right now,
Won't change anything.
And it doesn't change the overall picture.
All right, so talk to me about your comments about it is a pimp game. Jay Billis on Twitter focused on that, retweeted it, and talked about it. In 30 seconds to a minute, what do you mean by
I can do it in less. Okay. You got a system where everybody from the NCAA to conferences to schools to agents to financial advisors, all the way down to clothers. These people are making a lot of money, and the athletes, the kids, are making nothing. They're getting pimped. It's a pimp game. It's very clear. I mean, that's the gist of the comment.
Would you? What is the system to correct that? I mean, let me put it this way: is there a system that can correct it and still have college athletics?
Yeah, there's a system.
How would that be in your mind?
I mean, Walter Byers, who was the first executive director of the NCAA, who came up with the idea of the student athlete, himself said that it was an antiquated term and needed to be changed. Something's wrong in a situation where coaches are making millions of dollars.
And players don't get. So what do you
do? You figure out a system to pay these players.
What is that? I mean, like that's the devil's in the details. Right?
Hey man, there's some smart people out here, okay? Some smart people. These college presidents making money. These schools making money. These ADs, coaches making money. NCAA, which claims to be a nonprofit organization, making billions of dollars. Figure out a way to give these kids some money.
You got about a minute left. You're a professor.
Yes.
A professor who has often said that he thinks his department isn't funded well enough, et cetera. Do you see?
No department is.
Do you see that money in college sports and think priorities on universities are misplaced to begin with?
No, not just that. I mean, people think it's just about college sports. As you know, I'm a professor who's a sports fanatic. I think it's a system broken overall where you have some top tier people getting paid and they're steering money in particular directions, and you have people making decisions. Like, my core argument, board of trustees and the way they're appointed, not just at UofL, but across the country, which I think is problematic, and we need to have a longer discussion.
So you think college sports are okay in theory, but need to be changed in practice?
I think college sports are okay in theory. I'm not a person that says college sports need to be just taken off the table. I'm saying that we need to revisit college sports, not in a way that we're rushed in the discussion, where these kids are not being exploited. So Brian Ball can get paid, I ain't got any problem with that, man. I think it's a different discussion.
I got you.